Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Continuing on with the NBA playoffs. We're in the Eastern Conference Finals now. Pacers-Celtics Game 1. Last week overall was pretty solid for me, but Sunday, I was on the wrong side of both games. I had the Knicks. A little bit of a fan bias went into that bet, unfortunately. But I did like the Nuggets. I was pretty comfortable with my position at Nuggets. I got it at 4.5. Just wrong. I was very surprised by that. So moving on to the next round. Overall, the second round was pretty solid for me, though. But yeah, Pacers-Celtics Game 1. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, like I said, Indiana's in Boston for Game 1. We got the Celtics laying 10 points at home in this one. The total sitting at 222. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 6-point Boston win. Final score, 116-110 Celtics. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Pacers, and we have nobody on the report for Indiana, so they should be at full strength for this one. On the Boston side, still no Kristaps Porzingis. He is not returning yet, still ruled out. Tillman is on the injury report. He's listed as questionable. Now, in most cases, I would say that's not that big of a loss for Boston, but considering they're already missing Porzingis, they're going to have to run Horford on the floor for a lot of minutes, or Cornette. They also like Cornette. I mean, it's the Celtics. They're loaded. It's not the end-all, be-all, but Tillman may not play in this game. All right, so let's take a look at this series. On the season, these two teams met 5 times. Boston was 3-2 in those 5 games, 2-3 against the spread. At home in Boston, they were 2-0, 1-1 against the spread. So the most recent time, I believe the final score was 129-124. Pacers did cover the number in that game. And the first thing that popped into my head when I thought about this matchup was the Pacers' defense against the Celtics' offense. Because one thing Indiana does do well defensively, keep their opponent off the three-point line. If you look at their numbers on the season, they're first and second in frequency against the above the break and the corner threes. Obviously, that's huge. Boston's got the most three-point happy offense in the NBA, and if you look at their scoring numbers on the interior this season, 29th and 24th in shot frequency from the short mid-range and at the rim. This is not a Celtics team that likes to attack the interior, and this is a Pacers defense that puts a ton of pressure on the perimeter, force their opponents on the inside to take contested layups. So on paper, Pacers defense is actually kind of a tough matchup for Boston. Just 43% of the Celtics shot attempts this year came from 12 feet or inside. That's one of the lowest in the NBA. And the Pacers continued that type of defense into the playoffs here. Just 33.2% of Pacers opponents' shot attempts in these playoffs came from 3. That's 14th out of 16. So, like I said, Pacers keep their opponents off the three-point line. And by the way, they played the Bucks and the Knicks, who are 4th and 11th this season in three-point frequency. So they played 2 three-point happy offenses in the Bucks and the Knicks and still limited their three-point attempts. So that really isn't ideal for Boston offensively. That being said, this Boston offense is not the New York Knicks, and it's not the Milwaukee Bucks. This is maybe the best three-point shooting offense we've ever seen on the season. They're first in three-point frequency, second in three-point efficiency. So not only do they take the most threes of anyone in the NBA, but they're also extremely efficient shooting them. And we saw these two teams meet, like I said, 5 times in the season. And the Celtics' three-point attempts weren't really that limited. They averaged 37.6 three-point attempts per game in their 5 matchups against the Pacers, and they shot 43.62% from those attempts. So, I mean, on the season, they averaged 42.5 three-point attempts per game, so I guess the Pacers limited them a little bit. But overall, this Pacers defensive matchup didn't really seem to slow Boston down in their matchups on the regular season. And speaking of matchups, we should also mention that the Celtics are an elite interior defense. And this is a Pacers offense that's reliant on scoring on the inside. Now, you could say, hey, Kyle, so are the Knicks. The Knicks are also an elite interior defense, but with no Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, they really weren't. If you look at the Knicks down the stretch without those guys or missing some of those pieces, that Knicks interior defense was not elite. This Celtics defense is. Something else the Celtics do at an elite level, and this might be a deal breaker for the Pacers, transition. The Celtics defended the fast break arguably as well as anyone else in the NBA, maybe better than everyone else in the NBA. On the season, they're second in defensive frequency in transition, first in efficiency. So teams were not able to run the fast break on Boston, and as we know, that's a killer for this Pacers team. So as much as I think Indiana's defense on paper might be a little bit of a bad matchup for Boston's offense, on the other side, this is going to be a tough defense for the Pacers to score points on. Now, if you are looking to bet the Pacers in this game or in this series, you can look at the rebounding numbers because they just played the New York Knicks, who were the best rebounding team in the NBA this season. In the series against the Pacers, New York had a 36.6% offensive rebounding rate, most of anyone in the playoffs. So the Knicks were active on the offensive glass against the Pacers. If you compare the rebounding numbers from the Knicks and Celtics, 1st to 14th offensively, 6th to 7th defensively. So the Celtics are not going to be active on the offensive glass, or at least on paper they shouldn't be as active on the offensive glass as the Knicks were. So there's something for you if you're looking to bet the Pacers. They were struggling to keep the Knicks off the offensive glass. Celtics don't really grab offensive rebounds like that. And if you pull up some home-away splits in these playoffs, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be for the Pacers. You can see they're a perfect 6-0 at home in these playoffs, just 2-5 on the road. But if you look at some stats, they're really not that bad. Offensive efficiency, they're actually first in both. Defensive, they're 9th out of the 16 playoff teams, 15th on the road. So the defense has definitely been worse, but look at the rebounding turnover numbers. It's really not that bad, these splits. So in my opinion, it wasn't that the Pacers played noticeably worse on the road. It was that the Bucks and the Knicks played noticeably better at home. And this Celtics team has actually been much more impressive on the road in these playoffs. They've actually lost 2 home games. They're 4-2 in their home playoff games. They're a perfect 4-0 on the road. And you look, offensive efficiency, 4th at home, 3rd on the road. Defensively, 6th, 2nd. Rebounding, 2nd, 1st. Turnovers, 8th, 4th. So Boston actually stronger in every single statistical category in these playoffs on the road. Now, I'm not saying let's go bet the Pacers. I'm just saying if you're looking for something, there it is. Now, we do have to give the Celtics some credit. They seem to have solved their Game 1 problem that they had last year. On last year's playoffs, they were 1-2 in Game 1s of series with a plus 0.7 net efficiency. This year, both Game 1s against Miami and Cleveland, they beat the shit out of them. They're 2-0 with an average point differential of 22.5. So Boston has looked really good in both Game 1s so far this year. And also historically, this would be a spot to bet Boston. Since 2008, teams coming off Game 7 wins, 22-41, 24-38-1 against the spread. So teams coming off Game 7 wins don't fare well in Game 1 of the next series. And it gets even worse than that. Teams coming off Game 7 wins that are underdogs in Game 1 of the next series, 12-30 straight up, 18-24 against the spread. So that's a tough look there if you're planning to back Indiana, which I am not. I'm going to take the Celtics in Game 1. I actually think this series could be competitive, but not in Game 1. The Celtics should take this one comfortably, so I'm going to lay the points. Give me Boston -10. I'm going to try to find a 9.5. I will almost definitely be betting the Pacers in Game 2, though, because the Celtics just can't seem to get it together for Game 2. So I'm on the Celtics in this one. Give me Boston minus the points. As far as the total, I like Boston's team total under or Indiana's team total. Boston's team total over or Indiana's team total under. So let's say Pacers team total under. That's what I'll say. You know what? Let me look up, see where it's at right now for you. Here it is right here. Indiana Pacers team total under. So you can get a 106.5 at Bet365. So let's take that. Pacers team total under 106.5 at -115 on Bet365. So give me Celtics minus the points, and a secondary bet, if I place it, will be Pacers team total under. Live show 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be the same as always. NBA playoffs, WNBA, all the MLB action. We'll go through all of it. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets or top bets from anyone on the staff here, head over to KyleKirms.com and sign up for Sauce Network Plus. It's got our top bets on there, access to the Discord, all that. If you're interested, let's have ourselves a good Tuesday night. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, I had a solid Monday night. It's off to a good start, but we'll see. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.